Donnie, Chris Carbon, Son of a Source. Just wanted to get your sense of anything that may be different with you taking over as coordinator in any respect.
Well, I tried not to, as far as schematically, they haven't changed anything. So what we want to do is keep the continuity as far as the kids, making sure we just kept that flow of the call. So I haven't schematically, no. I think I changed maybe one word as far as terminology so far. So that's where we're at so far.
What about just your personal sort of influence or leadership style or things that may be different culturally or in any of those ways?
Well, I think we're all different now how we approach things. I'm a little bit more standoffish, so to speak. I try to let the guys do what they do. Like I said to them, it's their team. If I have to make corrections, we'll make it after we go and take a look at it and see it on film. So for the most part, I've stayed back and just watched them play.
You have to replace a lot of starters, obviously, on that side of the ball. So what are your thoughts about that? Maybe if you can go from the secondary to losing Darian Butler and then the guys you lose up front.
Just trying, let me take a look at my card. Huh? Let's look at my card here. Okay, so right now on the corners we have one of the twins, one of the Markham brothers, and then we got Tamarcus Davis on one corner. The safety so far has been Gamage, and it's been a rotation there with the other twin. So we got two twins out there, Gamage and also TD. Linebacker-wise, that's the veteran group. Those guys have been there. You got 34. I shouldn't say that like that, right? I should call his name, right? Huh? Kyle, I should call his name? No, I'm just kidding. We got 34. We got 9. Huh? No, I'll be right. We got Kyle, and then we got Eric, and we also got Marley. And those are the 3 linebackers. And up front right now, that's where we got some guys that are down. We got number 55 who's in there, Omar. We got Joe Moore on one side. We got Matus, and we had TJ, and then the 5th guy was 90. It was Cooper. So I'm still learning a little bit about them. When I try to look at them all. You see what I got? I still got to keep this one just to make sure I know they're all their names. But for the most part, that's who's been in there. And then the new guys that's come, the 2 new safeties have been Corey and Chris. Those 2 guys just got here, so they missed all of the presentation as far as the walkthroughs and those things. And then we got a couple of guys that's been around. Ed Wood's one of the corners. What else we got? We got Jordan Clark. Jordan's in. We got Jordan moving around a little bit. We got him playing safety, actually. He's playing safety and the nickel. We got Connor Lewis, that's nickel. I don't know if you guys remember him. He came the first year he was here with us, and then the COVID year, he didn't want to, some kind of way he didn't get the shot or however they did it, but he didn't participate. But now that he's back, we got him playing the nickel in the corner. So in the back end, there's about 8, 9, 10 guys that's participating right now. So, it's like I said to the guys, when you look at this team right now on defense, it's really the guys that finished or actually started the game in Wisconsin. We look around, we didn't have the 2 corners. The safety went down in the middle of the game. We didn't have the linebacker, and we didn't have 3D linemen, really. So really it's the guys that finished the game in Wisconsin.
Doug Haller with The Athletic. Donnie, Eric Gentry had a strong season as a freshman. What do you expect from him having a year under his belt?
Well, it's like I said to him the other day, the biggest thing he's going to have to really transition to is being a sophomore where expectations become an issue. And I don't know if it's an issue, but what it is it's people expect more from him now. And I think for him, if he can make the transition of just being who he is and try not to be who people want him to be, so to speak, he'll be fine. He knows football. He was out here every day. Even during the break, Christmas break, he was over there running around. Every day I could go in I was in my office, so I could look down there and see him. He was participating, doing his own drills. So, you know, the biggest thing is being a sophomore and trying to be who he is.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Michael Matus out there was just saying, someone asked him what the biggest difference between you and AP were, and he goes, Donnie doesn't like us to talk as much. Is there a reason for that, or?
Yeah, there's a reason for it. I want him to play football. You know, let's control our emotions where we don't get to the point where we become combative, and just be competitive. If we can do that, so yeah, there's a reason for it.
Coach, I had a question about just the defensive back group in general. You mentioned last season that you were a little bit concerned about the safety depth. What do you think you want to see from them this spring that would make you feel a little bit better about the position group as a whole heading into the fall?
Well, really, you know, you look at the safety group right now, you got about 3 or 4 new guys back there even participating now. And I think the biggest thing for them is communication. You know, when you're a safety, you got to get guys lined up. And that's always the problem when you're coming into a new situation because of the terminology. You know, sometimes it means the same as, but you still got to be able to relate and use the terms. So I've said this to the safeties the other day. The guys that's going to play is going to be the guys who can clearly communicate and get guys lined up. That's the first step. And then after that, you got to make plays, obviously.
Coach, obviously last year you had the DBs, and obviously this is a much bigger role for you.
Yeah.
What made you want to take on such a much bigger role with this team this year?
You know, that's a great question because, you know, I started as a consultant, right? Then all of a sudden I became a DB coach. And now all of a sudden I'm a coordinator. I think the biggest factor for me was I wanted to keep continuity with the team. And I felt that if I stayed in that position when it was offered to me, I could keep the continuity. We could use the same verbiage. We could use the same terminology. And if we'd have brought someone else in, which Herm could have done if he wanted to, it would have changed the whole continuity thing. I do believe that. So, you know, with my experience, I know this is not my first rodeo. So, and when he, it's interesting because when he asked me if I wanted to do it, I said, huh? What? I actually had some other plans, to be honest with you. I was, you know, I was getting up in this age group where you can start thinking about the beach, that little hut someplace. So I've been thinking about that, and come to find out I can't get that money yet, so I still got to stay a little longer. But the main reason was keeping the continuity, and I felt that was the best thing for us.
Hey, Coach. Herm talked Tuesday about your guys' relationship.
Oh, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. Herm talked Tuesday about your guys' relationship, how it dates back decades, and you're guys comfortable enough with each other to tell you can go off the script, as he put it.
He told you that?
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about that and your guys' relationship up to this point at ASU?
Yeah. You know, Herm and I go back, oh boy. I was drafted in 1979, 1980, and Herm was already over at Philadelphia. I was drafted by the Lions, and they cut me, and then Philadelphia picked me up. So I was over there for about, you know, what they call it, a coffee and donuts. And so I had got a chance. I had known Herm before that, but I was one of those guys that was trying to make the team behind Herm. And that was 1980 when we first made the transition. And it was interesting how I got to be his coordinator. I was actually probably the 8th, 9th guy he had interviewed. And some kind of way, my presentation was a little different than, and this is what he told me, my presentation was a little bit different than some of the other guys. And plus the defense I was running was something different than what everybody else had brought in. Everybody else was bringing the 4-3s and the 3-4s in. And then I came with a bunch of blitzes from one side or the other and guys moving around. And he thought it would be a good thing to change, so we did that. And, you know, we did it for 2 years together. And Then the third year, Herm got traded, however you want to call it. You know, the guys had to give draft picks to him, and so he went to Kansas City. And I was actually in the car with Herm. I went the weekend with him to become the DB coach. And we're in the car, and then I get a phone call from Rod Marinelli to ask me to come be the defensive coordinator at Detroit. And now Herm's driving, and now Herm and Rod knows each other. We all know each other. And Herm says to me, I said, Herm, what you think? He says, what do I think? Go be the coordinator. I said, you sure? I said, yeah. He says, yeah, go be the coordinator. You ain't not gonna. So that's what happened. So we've had a pretty good relationship. I understand him, and I know he understands me a little bit. So we have a lot of fun together. I know that. We really do. I can play off of him, and once he gets going, he plays off of me. And, you know, sometimes I become I always say this, it's all fun and games till the rabbit get the gun now. You know, so when the rabbit gets the gun. So I think we have a pretty good relationship, really. It's fun.
Coach Kevin Malater, Walter Cronkite Sports Network.
In-house.
You've just kind of talked about that continuity. How have you seen that unfold so far through walkthroughs and for these first couple of spring practices?
Well, so far it's been pretty simple what I've put in. I put in a couple middle close defenses, so that part's been pretty successful, so to speak. Up front, we haven't did a lot of moving parts. It's just been straight ahead, no fair dodging. So I've made it pretty simple. Next week now, we're going to get into a little bit more movement and blitzing and coming from different sides. So it's been pretty vanilla right now, I would have to say. So it's been pretty simple for him.
Who do you think see Coach is stepping up as like the vocal leader out there? Is there one guy?
Yeah, 34. Kyle is definitely the guy. You know, he's been around here a long time. And there's times where I hear Eric. I don't hear too many guys in the secondary talking except for, well, I shouldn't say that. Jordan talks a little bit. The whole D-line talks. Those guys are talking all the time. But I would say it's Kyle.
Yeah, Coach, on a scale of 0 to 5, 5 being the most aggressive and 0 the least aggressive, where would you put yourself on that scale from a blitzing, take it to the offense standpoint?
You talking about now or before?
With this team.
You know, we didn't blitz a lot, and I'll be honest. I'm gonna try to keep it within the 3, maybe right in the middle. Can I play in the middle a little bit? Yeah. I'll probably stay in the middle until we figure out. The thing about blitzing, you got to have good corners. Let's be honest. If your corners can hold up, and you feel good about the edges, keeping the ball inside when they're running, and you can take care of the perimeter with the corners, you can bring a whole lot of people. So we didn't blitz a lot last year, and for us, it works out for us. The one thing we did do is we kept the ball in front and inside. You know, we gave up some vertical passes. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, you start bringing them, you better have some corners and them guys that can hold up on the edges. So I don't know if I answered your question, but.
And then just one more. College football went to this, everybody spreading the ball around, 4 receivers, all that stuff.
There you go.
But then the defenses went to more base nickel stuff, right? And then now you're kind of maybe seeing a movement back, like a Utah team with their
two tight ends
and all that. So how do you sort of be able to?
I think you got to look at team by team. Depending on who you're playing that week. When you play Stanford, they're gonna have 2 tight ends. You play in Utah, they're gonna have 2 tight ends. You can believe SC now is gonna be wide open. You know that. They're gonna spread you all the way out, so you got to worry about that. UCLA will be UCLA. They'll have a good tight end. So I think it's week to week. But I do know one thing: we'll probably have more 5 DBs on the field for sure. I mean, because the bigger tight ends that are pretty good. I mean, the linebackers can't run with them. The only problem with that is the little DBs can't cover them. They knock them around a little bit. But I'm sure we'll have more 5 DBs on the field for sure. Oh, no. We're gonna keep him at safety and nickel because for him, once you start getting him further away from the core, and I say this all the time, when you have short corners, when you move them outside, they become smaller. You know, as the ball gets down the field, they seem to disappear with the big receivers. So if you can keep them inside where they can play the quicker little guys, we got a better chance. And then at safety for him, he can always, you know, he's got depth. Depth is his friend. You know, when you look at it, he can be at there 12, 15 yards deep. That's a friend for him compared to when it gets further down the field. When, like I said, the little guys, when they get further down the field, they disappear. You know, you see them all the time, and what you see, first thing you see is the flag. And they're right there. You know, they're just little. But to answer your question, we're going to keep them at nickel and safety.